And we're live. Welcome back to another episode of Tipsy Whiskey Shenanigans. Let's freaking go. Today, I'm excited for today. Today has me a little giddy. Let's freaking go. Hanging AZ in the house. Cheers. Meow, Sugar Kitty. Nice to see you. Yeah, I see you're multitasking. I know there's quite a few streams going on right now. Let's see here. All right, awesome. So today is going to be a good one. We're talking ECBPs, one of my favorite bourbons of all time. This is going to be the first one in my lifetime that is no longer 12 years age stated. I've heard some mixed reviews. I've heard some people say it's fantastic, and I've also heard some people say it's lackluster. So today we are getting into it. We're doing a review. Peter White, cheers. Thanks for coming and hanging out. Just on Bourbon Note. Okay, yeah. I was kind of in and out of Bourbon Note, setting up and preparing for this live stream and some other stuff that I got going on. Oh, hey, Bruno. Nice to see you, buddy. Nice to see you, too. But yeah, so ECBP. This is my first one from this year. No, that's A122. Here we go. B523. So we're going to do a review of this bad boy, but rather than doing we'll call it a super serious review, because I can't imagine it's too far off from all the other Elijah Craigs in the sense of what it tastes like. I'm expecting bougie Reese's peanut butter cups, because that's kind of the stereotypical note I get throughout a lot of these ECBPs. So I'm, taking it and comparing it to my two previous Elijah Craig barrel proofs, kind of doing a blind tasting with 3 Elijah Craig barrel proofs to kind of see where this one really shakes out. But yeah, so right now I usually have the luck of getting 2 out of the 3 batches each year. So I did not get the A batch from this year, but I got the B batch. That's one we're reviewing today. And then we're going to be comparing it to C922, which was the C batch of last year, and the A batch of last year, as I didn't get the B batch from last year. Nailed the review already. Yeah. So, the biggest thing I want to see is how does it compare to the 2 most recent reviews, or the 2 most recent ones I've had from ECBPs, because they have been, since I got heavy into the bourbon world like 2-3 years ago at this point, it's kind of gone downhill. Like my first one I had was the B520 and the C920, which were both fantastic. They were out of this world, and they've still been an incredible value. I mean, they're one of the bottles I bring up all the time, but they seemingly have lost a little bit of quality. And this is the first one that is no longer completely 12-year age stated. So it's 11 years and 5 months, which is still an incredible age statement at that price. So this is like $80, 124.2 for 11 and a half year old juice. Like that's still a good deal. I mean, it's value wise for the statistics a great deal, but I want to see how does it compare to the other ones, because in my opinion, like B520, those were like $100 and $120 bourbons, and the ones that have been coming out recently are seemingly, they're still great, but they're not at that level. So I want to see how does this one without the age statement compare to the 2 most recent ones I have. Bourbon Note sent us, go subscribe to Bourbon Note. Freaking love them. And Bourbon School, I was on their channel yesterday, so I'll be bringing them on here probably in like a few months or so, or a few weeks, not months. Or well, I don't know, it could be a few months. Who knows how long it's going to take to score away. But I'll be bringing them on to do some like American single malt stuff, as well as some Texas bourbon stuff. So if you guys are interested in seeing there, go subscribe, hit the comment button or the bell notification on their channel and all. They're fantastic. It was a great time. Them and Bourbon Note, 2 of my favorite channels nowadays. I've stopped watching a lot of the big ones like Bourbon Junkies and whatnot, like a lot of those bigger channels. I kind of stopped watching them recently because I just don't have time. So I've pretty much been like watching like the Bourbon Note whenever I have time, and Bourbon School. I watched a boatload of yesterday. So love them. Love them. Go subscribe. Found a C920 hunting the shells a couple of weeks ago. Oh my God. I would buy that like without hesitation. I'd be like, take my money, take my money. Actually, that's kind of ironically how this one went. I thought this was a store pick because they kept on trying to sell me on their store pick, which I mean, rightfully so. I probably would have purchased it, but I'm trying to save money, so I'm not trying to buy bottles that I can't monetize or turn into content. And honestly, reviewing a store pick isn't the most exciting stuff for a lot of you guys because you can't get it at all. But you know, this batch you can find out there. So when I saw it on their shelves, I was like, "Oh, is that like one of those?" And then he tried convincing me to buy the barrel pick too, and I was like, "Can you just read what batch number that is?" And I was like, "Take my money, let's freaking go." Bad Axe Bourbon lives are always a good time. Oh yeah, and Bad Axe, he does a lot of live content though, so it's kind of hard for me to find the time to sit down and watch a full on live content. Unfortunately, the one thing they don't tell you when you start a YouTube channel like this is you never have time to enjoy other content or other channels you previously watched before that because it all gets consumed by you creating content. Yeah, we need to have him on here again. It's been a while since I've had him on here, and oh my God, why is this little parafilm wrap difficult to get off? Also, I hardly ever do this where I do a fresh crack when I do a review. But since I'm comparing it, I really didn't want to walk into this with like preconceived notions about the bottle because I've heard very mixed things where some people are saying it's fantastic. I mean, it's still an Elijah Craig barrel proof. It's probably going to be good. And I've heard some people say it's lackluster, it's missing something. So, again, wanted to go in completely blind. Hit something with an axe, even. Yeah, there's nothing in here that's like replaceable or I mean, I don't want to say replaceable per se, but nothing that like I can hit and if I break it, it's like okay. I need to get something like that though, because I could use a little bit of like drunk destruction in my life. I feel like that is a thing that I should be doing a little bit more. Here, let me try to focus that a little bit better. There we go. I'm looking a little bit crisper. I don't know. Was I out of focus or am I just overthinking things? All right. So we got 3 glasses on the bottom. I have labeled A, B, C, and I've like triple stickered the little circles so I can't tell what they are from here, which what is what, because again, I've had that issue before. So we're going to pour just a smidgen. I don't want to pour too much whiskey. So, ooh, I should probably write this down somewhere. Okay, so A is going to be B523. And then C is going to be A122. A122, A122. Sorry, I know this isn't the most exciting stuff. I'm just trying to make sure they're all kind of at the same amount full so I don't already like tell myself what bottle's what. You know how it is. Is Gallagher still alive? Who hit a watermelon with a sledgehammer? I have a mini sledgehammer. He gone. No idea who Gallagher is. That might just be a before my time kind of thing. But thanks for coming in, watching. If you haven't done so already, like the video, leave a comment if you're rewatching. What are we all drinking tonight? Obviously, I'm drinking some ECBPs, but what are y'all getting into? And then for glass B is going to be C922. C922. So in glass A, we got B523. In glass B, we got C922. And then glass C, we have A122. Now we're going to spin them all up, forget which one is which, and then we'll start tasting and kind of comparing, because that's the biggest thing. I always say these ECBPs are kind of like, nutty, chocolatey, casky, like very much so barrel char. But I kind of want to compare them to each other more than anything. Only 106 today. I know it's been hot as hell. Yeah, I've been drinking a lot of cocktails recently. I've been drinking, I think I shared this last time I was on here, but a lot of Wild Turkey 101 as a kind of cocktail drink. Just because, it's been hot out. Drinking whiskey neat, even inside, it's still kind of not really the vibe. But I can't drink beer. Beer messes me up. Thanks to Bourbonneau, I am starting with some OGD Bonded. Yeah, I watched their live stream for a little bit in the background, and I was like, man, I kind of want to drink some, Bonded OGDs, but, obviously I have this plan, so this is kind of taking precedence, although this is going to be much better than those in the long run. That's very true. That's very true. Don't you guys have some sort of fire going on in Canada right now still? Some reviews can really get you down. I was pretty happy to score JD10 at MSRP, but all the reviewers said the 12 is better. Yeah, look, if you enjoy a bottle, just live in it. Like, who cares what other people have to say about it? Like, if you really enjoy something, just freaking enjoy it. Like, who's gonna tell you what to think about it? Like, for example, Jim Beam single barrel, the 108 proof one. I haven't heard a single good review about that. That is a bottle I personally really enjoy. So take that as you will. Ooh, this is sweeter and brighter on the nose than I remember. Also, it's been a hot minute since I've gotten into an ECBP. There's a nice like vanilla custard to this one. And whatever this glass is, I'm going here. Go left to right. Okay, so whatever, we'll call it, it's glass one. Glass one is sweet, vanilla, obviously some nuttiness, a little bit of a chocolate in there. Getting a bit of a stone fruit too. Also, this is the first time I've done a legit review with these Whiskey Wisdom glasses too, so maybe this will kind of highlight whether they're good for doing this or not. I mean, they did send me one to review, and I bought 2 more, so now I have 3, because these are my new favorite glasses. I freaking love them. An area the size of Croatia is gone. That's insane. That's horrible. No, I have not in Arizona at all. Those dang Canadians are making my air. Yeah. Like, come on, Canada, get your shit together. Trying to go down here. Yeah, fortunately, it hasn't hit Arizona yet, and I don't foresee it hitting Arizona. Yeah, that's 100% what it is. Yeah, like for example, Dickel 8 year, you can keep that. Yeah, on the nose, it has the ECBP smell, but it's very much so sweeter than I remember ECBPs because it has that nuttiness, that chocolatiness, that barrel char, but there is a nice like layer of like bright vanilla on glass 1. Let's get into glass 2 on the nose. Ooh, this one's darker, more barrel char, more of a baking spice feel as well. Oh, wow, that is dark. It's dense on the nose. Saw JD 10 and 12 for, oh my God, that's a hard pass. I don't know, nothing's going to beat those single barrels. I want to get one of the single barrel ryes though. I haven't seen any of those in my area yet, but that's on the hit list. Yeah, hopefully it's not affecting any of the what distilleries are out of Minnesota. Hopefully it's not affecting any Minnesota whiskey. You know, this is dark, earthier, nuttier, more baking spice. Like this, you can smell the oak and the barrel char in it. Like this is heavy, heavy char. This nose is significantly better than whatever is going on with this. Like this has almost like a fake artificial kind of like, I don't want to say marker, but marker smell to it. On glass 1, that is. Yeah, it has like a Sharpie smell to it. Whatever's in glass 1 is kind of Sharpie-ish. Lifetime NorCal resident here, first time. Ooh. U.S. fires and a whole bunch more from the EU along with... Yeah, I mean, that's just all around, like, forest fires are just horrible. Yeah, that's how you make peated whiskey. You set the whole world on fire. Ooh. Oh, man. Yeah, so glass 3, also dark barrel char. It has more of a kind of that, man, I hate that I said it. It's like almost a Sharpie-ish note. I get it on glass 1 and just a hint of it on glass 3, but it's non-existent in glass 2. Glass 2 it's good. It's that peanut butter. Glass 2 is what I expect on the nose of an Elijah Craig barrel proof. And glass 3 is there. It just has that little bit of like a sharp brightness going on. You have whiskey in hell, but it's... Yeah, it's like it's that Balcones brush fire one. Yeah, there are fires from time to time, especially up north. We sometimes will see like kind of like our lake area. We'll sometimes get fires too. Like there's a whole giant patch that's like currently burnt out. But yes, brimstone. That stuff is straight up garbage. That is one of the worst whiskeys I've ever had in my entire life. Okay, so right now on the nose wise, let's see. Nose wise. Oh shit, I can't really do that because that's the key. We'll do nose. So glass 1, glass 2, and glass 3. I'm going glass 2 is definitely the first, followed by glass 3, and then glass 1 is definitely last, but like glass 1 is last like by significant margin. Brimstone, it just sounds terrible. Have you had any of the Balcones stuff before? Ooh. It's chocolate, it's bitter, it's oaky. That's much more. So the nose on glass 1, I didn't really enjoy as much, but the palate is good. It's chocolatey, it's oaky. Man, they should pour Texas whiskey on the fire to put it out. I'd be so upset. I would cry a lot of tears. Booker's barbecue batch. I could see like kind of like a smoked one. I wonder, has anyone ever had any peated or like American oak or like mesquite smoked bourbons? Do they have those? Because I would be curious to see how that goes. They fire jumpers that all died. If you, yeah, they made a movie about it. I think that was actually like this week or something, like 13 years ago or something like that. Maybe not 13 years ago, but maybe 10. I don't know, 7, 8. Life has been going by in this weird way recently where I just realized that I don't understand what like year to year life is. Ever since COVID, my whole timeline's just been jacked. I steer clear on it. Oh, come on. You give it a try. At least one bottle. Like if you can find like an Iron Root 115 or like a Still Austin bottle, give it a try. Garrison Bros is also good. Just like realize you're going to be paying like way more than you actually should be for that. Balcones True Blue is okay. They can be too hot. And like, I don't know. I didn't enjoy Balcones's what are they called? Corn whiskeys as much as the other Texas or Southwest style corn whiskeys, just because it's a little bit too like Balcones-y, where I kind of like one of the more appealing things about corn whiskey is it's usually very approachable, where Balcones just they just oak their stuff to hell, which is sometimes fantastic, but sometimes it's a little bit too much. Yeah, but they do malt. Malt's different. Long Branch supposedly has mesquite. Isn't mesquite filtered though? Grabbed my first Iron Root Harbinger. Haven't cracked it yet. Awesome, awesome. Let me know what you think about it. Still Austin is awesome. Yeah, well they're Texas. Yeah, yeah. So that's Texas whiskey there then. Okay, I like one on the palate. Two on the palate isn't as exciting as one. It's a little bit, has a less, it's a little, oh man. It's weird to call a ECBP flat, but it's like a flat root beer. Like I get oak on the sides of the tongues, like heavy, and then like the middle of my tongue, the whole like strip wise, it's just flat root beer. Like there's not much more going on than that. It's just like not A&W. It's like it's a darker root beer. It's a more like classy root beer because A&W is like super sweet for a root beer. It's like a earthier type root beer, and it's just like flat. I've tried the Nancy Fraley pick and still didn't enjoy it. Really? Well, again, it's not for everyone. I don't like over oaked Nims all over the flavors for me. That's fair. Cheers, Bad Axe. How you doing, man? Speaking of balcones, oh, okay, yeah, that's fair. Balcones is one of my favorite bottles from them. The lineage, it's more of a less intensified one, but a lot of their picks at cash strength is just like straight up motor oil, and it's a lot. I get a lot of vanilla Coke from ECBP. I could see that. Yeah, like I'm getting like flat root beer on the mid palate here for that. Balcones Asian X. Ooh, I want one of those. That sounds fantastic. Good sherry aged Scots, big Texas flavor. Oh, man, that would be a pick I would love to have my hands on. Like Rebel root beer. I'm not sure what I'm not a huge root beer kind of guy, so I don't think I could spit out brands, but probably not that. Like kind of just like an old fashioned root beer, like the root beers that come in like the glasses rather than it's more of an earthy kind of rooty like root beer rather than an overly sweet kind of like A&W style. Yeah, hit the like button. What are you doing? All right, I'm going to get on the palette of Glass 3. Yeah, nice oak, a little bit of chocolate. Very in suit with the palette of number 1. This is ironic because I think my likes of the here. Let's just. I think I need to do a little bit more. A little bit more comparison. Cheers, story time. Nice to see you, man. Have you released any picks recently? I feel like I haven't seen any of your picks. If you've released any of them, because I'm on the mailers. So, what picks do you got coming up soon? Do you need to come on the channel to talk about them? Yeah, so it's ironic. I dislike the nose of Glass 1, but I think the palette on Glass 1's the most exciting. I've never actually had Rebel. I think, isn't Rebel weeded? I think that's why I haven't had it. I don't even like Evan Williams' bib, but I'll agree with that. Bib is. I'll agree to disagree. I don't like Evan Williams' bib. I've got 2 in the chamber, just working out timing with the distillery. That's fair. Well, when you're ready to release them, I'm going to buy them anyways. So once you release them and I get my hands on, I'll have to have you on so we could talk about them. I'm having a hard time placing the palettes because these, ironically, batch to batch, these are all very different. Batch 1 or Glass 1 is the nuttiest. This Glass 2 is more of like kind of like a vanilla sweetness, but it does have that little bit of like barrel char. It is that flat root beer though. It's a little lackluster on the palate for me. which sucks because that was my favorite one on the nose. Although I think I'm going 1, 2, 3. I'll be honest. So these are very different batch to batch, but they're all good. The only, like, I don't know if I dislike any of these or if I think they're all like not worth the $80. The ironic thing is I like certain things about each one of these for different reasons. And I'm getting a little bit of like chest pain almost, though. That's not great. Weeders that I enjoy, have a good, in 10 years a banger. Well, maybe I'll need to give them a try. All Bib is good. Okay, and I feel like you're... Ooh. I feel like you're in like a Bib cult. Rebel is like bottom shelf old fits from... I've never had old fits, so... I covet a bottle of JW Dant. Hard to find here. Yeah. I've never even seen any of those. I would put Evan Williams' bib over Dant. I would dump Evan Williams' bib in the sink or turn it into some sort of meat or like dessert type thing. Actually, that's what I'm saving mine for. I need to pick up a JW. My store has got plenty. Been meaning to grab one. I feel like there's always that whiskeys where it's like, I mean to grab you, but you never actually do. Let's see if I can figure out. Usually, I'll be honest, the finish is never really my favorite thing to talk about, but I'm going to try to kind of judge these on the finish too, because they're kind of so neck and neck. And I don't really know if that's going to change anything per se. It's probably just going to highlight. I like each one of these batches for different things. Yeah, that's sweet, nutty, caramel, so much oak, a little bit of like a butterscotch, like chocolate, that barrel char. Finishes really nice. On the tongue, it's like it's all this like chocolatey barrel char. I use it to catch gnats in the summer. Yeah. Oh man, that's the worst thing ever. When you're outside with an open glass of whiskey, like a rocks glass, and you're doing some sort of yard work or something, and you have a glass of whiskey because, well, it's the weekend. Like, you're not going to do yard work sober. And then like you go to drink it, and then there's like bugs that are just like dead in there because of course it's cash strength, you know, you're not a little bitch. And then you got to dump it out and get a new glass, or you try to like fish them out if it's like a super nice bottle. Happens all too often. Ooh. That's a bottle I still need. Well, I feel like your drummer probably enjoyed it. Probably got drunk. I really like the finish on glass 1. This one's vanilla. Got this hint of like an apricot, like a stone fruit. Yeah, it's that flat root beer. Like, it's not bad, it's just not exciting. It's not blowing my mind in any which way. Over bib every day. Yeah. That's rock, What is your Rocket Bottle 321? I'm right there with you. I like the 1783. I think it's really good. Me personally, I just go the normal Elijah Craig over any Evan Williams product, though. I am a huge fan. I mean, I got a handle of it back there, right there. That's a handle of it, I think. Yeah, that one. And that's my everyday daily drinker type bottle now, because I just really like Elijah Craig's. And at what is, I think it's like 95 proof. It's solid. Peerless. I've never had any Peerless stuff. That's another bottle I need to get into. But yeah, I agree. I do not like the bib. Evan Williams bib is a total drain pour for me. I mean, I say that as I don't enjoy it. I've only ever drain poured a few bottles in my life, and it's because they were heinous. Like there was something wrong on the process, and I think like I got bad whiskey, where it's like that's a tainted bottle of whiskey, or it was I drain poured a what is that cinnamon flavored whiskey? Fireball. I've drain poured some like flavored whiskeys before. So give that the B5 isn't great is better than the 2021 batches that people claim are bad. I haven't gotten around to kind of comparing it. So I'm comparing it to the 2022 batches that I have, because I didn't get the A batch of this year. So I'm comparing the B523 to C922 and A122. And I remember, I think it was C922 that was an absolute rock star, if I remember correctly. So I'll be excited. One of these is kind of a clear rock star over the others, at least palate wise. Okay, yeah, and that's why I haven't done it. I'm a value whiskey consumer, so if it's overpriced, if it's overpriced and I have it, it's probably because it was a gift or I found it on sale. Because I usually don't drink a lot of overpriced whiskey. Elijah Craig is more of a dessert whiskey for me, way different profile. Okay. Yeah, I think 1783 is another one of those bottles I need to buy. Maybe I should buy that and blend it with the bib to kind of like even them out. Or, oh no, the bib's over there. But even out, kind of maybe try to blend out the parts of the bib I don't like, but keep that proof. I'm struggling with the finishes. So I like the finish on glass one the best. The palette and the finish kind of went together, but I think I like the finish of glass 3 a little bit better than glass 2. It's vanilla. It's like this nice peanut buttery nuttiness. It's a little bit of hint of chocolate, kind of like baking chocolate. Yeah, and it really finishes into that like barrel char and that baking chocolate. The hero label and didn't hesitate. Oh yeah, that would be a bottle that would get me. Just like the Smoke Wagon 4th of July releases. I'm like, oh yeah, I don't even really care for this, but I also I'm a sucker for things with American flags. I'm gonna reshuffle this deck. I'm going 3, 3, 2, 2, 1. Okay, let me math this out really quickly. So 3, 4, 5, 5, 6, 7, then 6. Okay, so we do actually have a winner here. So this is a weird one. It was kind of palettes versus noses. So glass one is my winner. Glass one, I thought was very lackluster on the nose compared to the other two. It was very needing of some excitement and a little bit of pizzazz. But on the palate and the finish, I thought it had significantly more going on than the other ones. Whereas on the nose, I thought glass two was my personal favorite, but on the palette, I thought it was extremely lackluster and was missing complexity compared to the other ones. And then glass three, I thought it was a little bit better on the nose, or I thought it was just a little bit worse on the nose than glass two, which was my personal favorite. So obviously it was better than glass number one on the nose by a significant margin. And vice versa on the palette wise, I thought it was just a little bit better than glass two on the palette and the finish, because it had a little bit more complexity but still wasn't quite as complex. So my ranking goes: glass one is the winner, glass three is second place, and glass two is going to be last place. That being said, what I can say is these are all kind of within a margin of error or like a mood, in my opinion, because, glass one won with 5 points, glass two is 7 points, and glass three is 6 points. So it's literally just like if I nudge one number in one other direction, it changes things. So I would say this is within the margin of mood dependency or whatever you want to call it. So I guess what I could say is glass two and three are a little bit more on the similar side. I like the nose of glass two the best. So glass like two and three, I think these were a little bit better on the noses, where it's glass one was significantly better on the palate, but the nose was very lackluster. So it's weird. It's like when they were blending each of these batches, they focused heavy on like, oh, hey, how do we get the best palate? Which in my opinion is more important than anything else. The palate and the finish have so much more going on than just the nose. Because sometimes I just want to drink the whiskey rather than even smelling it. I'll put it in a rocks glass, or even if I do put it in a glass like this, I don't even actually smell it outside of, I'll do a little bit of a smell and then I'll just get straight into drinking it, where I don't even have time to like think about what I'm smelling and I'm just drinking it. So yeah, glass one has one for me, then followed by three and then two. So we'll look at what is glass two. Glass two was A, which is B523. So this is third place. So B523 was the flat root beer one. So really, really great nose. Honestly, I think this is the best nose, this is the best nose I had tonight. But on the palate, it was lackluster and didn't have as much going on as the other ones. Still, I mean, arguably compared to probably any other whiskey, because we're comparing ECBPs to ECBPs here. But compared to any other whiskey, like this really stood up. The one thing I did notice that these two batches, because obviously we know these are the 2022 batches now. So those both had like this Sharpie smell on the nose, whereas this 2023 batch did not. But it really seems like they blended this one for the nose when they were blending it, and they didn't focus heavily on the palate, whereas the other ones, they seemingly focused more on the palates. And then let's look at what was the winner, which was C, which is A122. So A122 was first place for me. Obviously followed by B, which was C922. Huh. I didn't see that one coming, because I remember A122 not being the best or the most exciting one. Or, was A122 my favorite? I forget what my favorite ones of last year were. It's been a while. I think I went through 2 bottles of A122. I think I went through 2 bottles of A122, and I still have a bottle and this of 922 because I bought a few of them. I can't remember. Honestly, though, what I can say is I think this is within a margin of error. Like, it's if you want to get rid of the whole like us overthinking this, over nerding about it, like this is, I think it's still a good ECBP. I think it's still worth the $80 you buy it at. I just think this was a little bit more of a nose focused whiskey rather than, hey, what's on the palate? Because again, I said it was like a flat root beer. Again, still good. And I think compared to a lot of other barrel proof whiskeys, like think about the barrel proof MGP that you have at like $80 nowadays. Like I'd be hard pressed to say that that's not going to beat it in my opinion. But I'm also like Elijah Craig fanboy, so take that as you will. Makers, I'm in a mood for Makers products. Sadly, I am out. Ooh, well then I guess you got to go to the store. A lot of Peerless is overpriced, but there are also some extraordinary bottles too. Have to be very selective there and try before you buy. Just poured some Baker's 107. That's a bottle I need to get as well. Palates are so wild. Heard people say 122, saying it's the best and worst. Heard people saying A122 is the best and the worst. Yeah, well, that's how everyone's opinions are. C922 is generally good reviews. Okay. Again, like, this is one of those things where I don't even remember how I reviewed it. Like, say we do this exact experiment tomorrow, we might get different results. What I can say from now is it's very much so still an ECBP, but it didn't have a super exciting palette compared to the other ones. Because I mean, that's what stuff like this really highlights. It highlights the differences between them. And so what I can say, better nose, worse palette. Which I think, this is more going to be a whiskey where I like to go here with it, because on the nose it's something to behold. Like this smells like a special whiskey. This is like what I expect to smell on an ECBP nose. Like you can go back and watch the tape. When I smelled it, I was like, man, this whiskey is significantly going to be better than what's ever in glass one. I was like, this is what I expect off of ECBPs. And then when we got to palate, obviously things, they did a little shuffle of the board for me. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I heard some negative reviews and some positive reviews, and I still bought it without hesitation. Obviously, because I knew I could do this for one, but also like I have this borderline. So I have in here, I think I have like 9 ECBPs, and I'm going to buy, like, if I can find it for like $80-$90, I'm buying the next batch until they either drop severely in quality or whatever. Because I think an issue we as a whiskey consumers have with ECBPs is that we compare them to each other, which I think is not necessarily wrong, but I think when you compare it to previous batches, you miss the point of it's still significantly better than most of the whiskeys you find at $80 nowadays. So even if it's a lackluster bunch, like I know someone brought up the 2021 batches, those were all very lackluster compared to the 2022 batches and the 2020 batches. That being said, they still shit stomped a lot of the stuff that came out of that year at $80. So it's still a fantastic value whiskey as long as Elijah Craig doesn't drop their like value centric thought process. So what I can say is opinions wise. So I'm going to think less about like my statistical data of what my actual tasting preferences for today. What are my thoughts on them no longer age stating the bottles? I'm kind of okay with it. So what I will say is I don't want them to be more so focused off of, hey, we need to get a 12-year-old age statement. I want them focused on releasing a quality whiskey at $80 that is old and like has that like Elijah Craig barrel proof flavor profile. If they have a barrel at 10 years old that is like meeting that flavor profile, then dump it in. I don't give a crap. I want to make sure they keep their eye on the prize of like, hey, we're releasing a cash strength rendition of Elijah Craig that is like has this ultra aged flavor profile. I don't want them to forget that. I have my fears. Obviously, the pessimist inside of me says they're going to forget that and it's going away. But I want to hope that obviously them as a brand who really wants to succeed, I would assume that they kind of don't want to go entirely against their consumers' wishes, but we've seen it before with a lot of different brands. Over most, yeah, exactly. Like it's like it might not be as good as some of the batches we've had, but it's within some like margin of error. Like I said, 5, 6, 7. Like these were like one by like points. It wasn't like one was significantly better than the other. There's just one succeeded in other ways. And I also put the palate in a little bit of a higher regard than I do the nose. No bougie peanut butter cup. No, I tried staying away from that. But yeah, I mean, they all kind of have that. Like, so what I will say is like the nose of glass two. So the which one is it? The B523. That one smells like that fancy peanut butter cup. It has that oak, it has that barrel char, it has that peanut butteriness, that chocolatiness, and then the palate of A122 has all of that in spades. It's so much barrel char, which I absolutely freaking love. I love barrel char. They're right up with the barrel proofs. I'm curious though, do all of these private barrel picks kind of interfere or intervene with the quality of the ECBPs? Think about it. I mean, I know they're not releasing anything with an ultra age statement, but is that going to cause a problem in the future? The year pick last year was some of the best EPs. Yeah. I have yet to have a pick. I need to buy a pick. I've only seen the one when I went and bought this, and I was like, okay, I can turn this into a review. So I haven't unfortunately been able to buy any of those or get my hands on any or know anyone who's released one. ECPP123, not a fan today, but I found after here. Let me read this. I have an Elijah Craig A123, not a fan today, but I find after the fourth bottle is gone, it gets better. Found that with my C922 and hoping. Yeah, and again, this was a fresh crack. I'm kind of in between about the whole concept of like the neck pour, if you will. I kind of think they only get worse from a certain level, but that's neither here nor there. But maybe it'll get better. Who knows? I see 9 and 10-year Elijah Craig single barrel store picks for 100 and ECBPs for 80. Yeah, that's something I find crazy. I don't get it. Yet 90% of people shit on Elijah Craig 18 because it over oaked. I have PHC single barrels that is only 11 years and everybody loves it. Yeah. I feel like no matter what you do as a producer, you're never going to please everyone. And that's kind of like you're going to make yourself mad by trying to make every single consumer of your product happy. It's just not going to happen, unfortunately. You see, my favorite, because I have a C920, my favorite is the B520. I loved that one. Okay. Yeah, and you see, even in chat, we're seeing a difference of kind of what you think about the private barrels. But I think that also might be consumer related. Like maybe Sugar Kitty and me like higher age stated whiskeys, where I forgot who set it up there. Um, but they said they see a lot of ECBPs that are much better. So, there's plenty of Kentucky bourbon producers and consumers who are like, hey, our best stuff is at like 8-9 years old. Like, you're not going to please everyone. Some people are going to want younger stuff. Some people are going to want older stuff. I think we can all agree, like, under 4 or 5 years old, it's like, hey, don't even make that. But outside of that, I think we can all agree that maybe, some are better than the others. I hope it doesn't, but my fear kind of says it will. I'll pick EC. Yeah, I think it's pretty on par with the 23 or 2022 bottles I have. So like, again, I'll buy the next one. I'll buy the A batch of this year too if I find it. I'll buy any ECPPs if I see it and I don't have a batch and I have the money to spend on it. Okay. Well, that's good, because I would hate to see that. Pirate bottle hazmat was the best. I feel like that's a unicorn bottle though. Like, you're not gonna find that again. Private barrels you get, there's so much variation. Yeah, and I just feel like even in these batch products, like I experienced a lot of variation today, which I think is crazy. We don't typically see a huge amount of variation in batch products like this. But I will say is like these were all very different. And these are all within the last year and a half per se. So all of these batches are very, very different from one another. I mean, they all have that signature flavor profile, but they have nuances that are very, very different. So I think, man, I really need to do an ECBP like flight, because I would love to see how different they all are. Like, maybe not make it for content and like say which one's better, but I would love to just kind of pick apart the different batches over time. Shredward, I think that's exactly where I am at too. Like, I don't want to, because I think easy BPs are still going to be good no matter what. And I don't want to say their glory days are behind them, but I'm a little pessimistic about what the future holds for Elijah Craig barrel proofs, because I've only seen it go since I've gotten it. Maybe it's more of like kind of like a slow downward slope, but it's had its like ups and downs. Like, there were really few batches that were like, I think I enjoyed both of these batches from last year a lot. So, I mean, maybe it's not going downhill, and maybe just the whiskey industry is changing. You should just do 2021 to 2023. Yeah. I mean, I got two 2021 batches, so maybe I'll have to pull them all into each other. One thing I will say, I really like that each batch is like different. Like, they're noticeably different. I think that's a lot of fun, because you don't, from a huge distillery, you don't really expect to see like huge variations in their products, but there's a significant amount of variation, and I like that. Yeah, maybe I'll do a 2021 to 2023. I'll have to get another 2023 bottle, and then we'll do it. It could be like a 6-way flight off. That being said, that is a wrap for today's video. Please do me a favor, like, comment if you're rewatching, subscribe if you haven't done so already. Go subscribe to all the other YouTube channels that showed up in here. Storytime, go subscribe to him. He's fan freaking tastic. Absolutely love the stuff he's doing. I'm trying to think of other things to say. It's been a long day, so I'm kind of out of it. But again, I think Elijah Craig Barrel Proof is just fine. Again, I'm pessimistic about its distant future, but I think the next few batches are likely going to be pretty solid. But again, as us consumers, we're going to keep a close eye on them, and I'll be buying all the batches moving forward. So I think this is definitely still worth a buy. I'm not going to lie to you and say it's the best one yet, but I think it's worth the buy nonetheless. But again, that is a wrap for today's video. Cheers, y'all. We'll see you later.